Hi all, welcome to Show Studio's video review series. I'm Show Studio fashion editor Georgina Evans and I'm joined by Show Studio content editor Calum Knight.
Hello.
We're going to be discussing Olivier Theyskens Spring Summer 20. Quite an interesting show on the schedule. The brand is relatively kind of new in the sense that it resurged quite a few years ago. Olivier previously worked at Theory and then went quiet for a little bit. So this show's been on the schedule for a little while, but not too long, so it's still quite fresh in people's minds. When we think of Olivier, we think of kind of grand, an element of grand, wonderfully effeminate, and always incredible detailing. There's kind of a nice rumour from the Roche's years where he was kind of getting in trouble for doing a little bit too much demi-couture, and they were saying we can't do this, stop making everything so fancy and frilly. And that demi-couture has really carried through to today. So everything you see is not what it seems, which is like the running phrase of the season. But these items there's so much more than meets the eye. So what it looks like at face value, peel that back, the way these garments have been made are incredible. It is a demi-couture standard. So with that in mind, we know this is going to be a beautiful, slightly decadent display of women's wear, and we were saying before the show started that there's something about Olivier that puts it in that kind of cerebral brand bracket where you would buy Olivier if you bought maybe Yoji, or if you wanted something slightly more effeminate, but it's that kind of like museum director aesthetic. You're looking into fashion, but you might not necessarily be as keen on fashion as someone who's buying kind of Gucci. So anyway, waffle. This collection, the music starts and it is a slowed version of Girls Just Want to Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper. And throughout the collection it's twisted and sped up, and then eventually we get the final version. But the idea behind this was that Olivier was working really hard, obviously, making this collection. And sometimes you just tire yourself out. He said the beginnings of this collection he'd started working on a year ago, which is obscene. And so when you're kind of just in the kind of rat race of your own head, working and thinking, and he said he had this song stuck in his head, and then he was like, actually I do need to remember that girls do just need to have fun, and you need to bring that joy into it. And as I was just saying, talking about Olivier being such a cerebral brand, and when you wear it you kind of feel like empowered by it, the knowledge of how much has gone into this amazing garment. But he was saying this time it needs to be about the youthful element to that, and just being a little bit more carefree and remembering to have fun. So while these are incredibly decadently made clothes, that he's trying to get the message out there that this is, just don't forget to have fun, don't forget to pause, don't forget to enjoy the garments, don't forget to have that kind of youthful energy. So that's why we have kind of beautiful 60s twiggy eyelashes, and lots of kind of clumping shoes. Well, there's always great shoes at Theyskens, but these were huge platform satin strapped shoes, which were really beautiful, in blacks and pinks, and black and pink is continual throughout the collection. What we open with are kind of bralettes and pencil skirts, sometimes slightly fishtail, sometimes slightly peplum. And it looks quite, as I say, not much to the eye. Well, it's striking nonetheless, but it looks not much to the eye. But actually, you can see where Olivier's tried to expose the detailing of what's gone into the skirt. So there's almost like visible darting and visible stitching, or some of the fabrications are coming off. And that may sound chaotic and a bit messy, but it's certainly not. It's a beautifully pristine skirt, but there's just kind of little, it's almost like evidence that someone had worked on it, which I really like, particularly when it's something that detailed and beautiful. Later on in the collection, is where I slightly prefer, as much as I like the bare stomach. Olivier was saying this kind of trying to show you what would be there, what could be there, and just kind of tricking the eye a little bit. I didn't mind that section, but the suiting later on and the dresses is really where I think Olivier comes into his own. The dresses, and obviously Olivier's CV is kind of Nina Ricci, Rocha, and there's a lot of wonderful dresses and glamour in that. So dresses are something that I always look forward to in an Olivier show. Some of them are absolutely beautiful. The pinks, I think they're satins with these kind of ruffle or folds all around them. Just really beautiful. And they're, I think they're a bateau neck. and beautiful to the floor. Some of the black ones as well, in typical Olivier stylings, are backless with a strap or incredibly low on the back. The guy really loves bearing some flesh. 2 or 3 dresses that I were kind of stumped on were the striped print dresses, and they were really full, and I think they had bows down the front, and they kind of looked a little bit at odds with the rest of the collection. But actually, talking to Olivier backstage, he was saying that he worked on an exhibition this year, and being around all these amazing kind of museum archive fabrications and learning about old styles of dress, he was completely enamoured in making and how they used to make these amazing crinolines. And so this dress, I think one layer of the dress is 20 meters of fabric. It's kind of obscene, but then he was trying to explain the details to me, but it was just so much. There's a kind of something that goes into this, and then that goes into that, and then that needs to be treated like this, and then that's another yard of fabric, and then but the stripes come from looking at those historical dresses and seeing the inside, and how they'd often have a really odd mismatched fabric that has nothing to do with the fabric on the outside. So I really like that kind of historical nod. Whether it tied in with the rest of the collection, I'm not so sure. But overall, I really love the suiting. The long dresses was a little bit at odds with the bralette and the long skirts to open. Skirts I really loved. I think perhaps it was just a little bit of a styling thing that I wasn't agreeing with. But nonetheless, it's always really impressive to see an Olivier show because the detail is just exquisite.
No, and you're totally right, and they are just being able to see those works, and you know the dresses always look like they've been turned inside out to really present that. I thought was fab. But I agree that I thought the first section felt a little at odds with kind of a modern sensibility, and especially with the music playing, it just felt a bit. Not that it's wrong, and I didn't go backstage, so I see what you're saying about people just needing to kind of let go of some of the seriousness, but when your clientele seem to be very serious and they're dressing for work, they're not dressing, I mean some of them are dressing regardless, but you know, they're not dressing to go out and get drunk in London, you know, they're dressing for work, and they're buying into this brand, you know, to aid in that and to aid in a lifestyle. It just felt like there could have been a better or more interesting things to say with that section, and I agree that it could have been done in the styling, because they're beautiful pieces. I mean, they're, as you say, they're almost demi-couture, they're incredibly worked on, so there's no problem with the actual pieces themselves, but just as an opening moment, I felt it was a little, there might have been other things more worthwhile in that opening section, but when we get into the kind of Hessian bag-like dresses, which is, you know, something that Margiela used to play on, and you know, there's kind of the lowest of the low of fabrics, and kind of, I don't think they were actually Hessian, but they were that colour, but then darted and kind of tweaked into these gorgeous full dresses. It's really stunning, and his talent is second to none. And just really watching that, and you know, the heels that Georgie spoke about was so big, and we're on very low chairs, so we're really staring up at these models,
legs for days.
And we're eyelined with the skirt, so we can really see all that work, and it's just, you know, and it's an honour to watch, because it is so much about craft.
Even though we were told to have fun, you can't help but look at the craft.
But how many hours went into that?
How many yards? So a beautiful treat for a nice afternoon, I would say. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. Do you like Olivier? And do you like this collection? And like, comment, subscribe, and make sure to visit Show Studio so you can see this collection alongside our review. We'll speak